Welcome back. Welcome. It is 5:05. Raphaël Melançon joins us in studio. Going to take a look at a couple of stories. He's, of course, our political analyst, also CTV Montreal as well, and a columnist at the Montreal Gazette. Our feature brought to you by Guaranteed Industries, reminding you they, along with Carney, have been serving Montrealers now. They have for 57, or since 1957, so 75 years. You want to look at your air conditioning? Maybe. You want to look at your heating, because I know it's kind of hard to think about that right now, but it will get here. And the idea is to be prepared when it does. So give them a call, 514-342-3400, or go online, guaranteedindustries.com. Raphael, welcome. I'm not sure where to start today. We had big announcements from Mark Carney, including one which is for the Port of Montreal. So that was really, really good news. But maybe the more interesting part of the story today was Danielle Smith's reaction in actually saying that there was something good from the federal government and the Liberal government. I don't think anyone expected to hear that.
No, especially considering that there was no pipeline announced in in the list of these 5 projects that are on the fast track on the federal stage. So I was expecting Danielle Smith actually to complain about the fact that there was no pipelines scheduled in those among those.
That's
5
what
projects.
you would have expected, because that's what's happened every other time.
But it's quite refreshing to hear something positive coming from Danielle Smith when she speaks about what's happening in Ottawa. So yes, but very good news, as you mentioned, for Quebec. And I would say, yes, the Port of Montreal, it's 5,000 jobs that will be created here in the province during construction, 1,000 permanent jobs that will be created after construction for the operation of the new extension of the Montreal port. And it's also opening opportunities for our goods our goods certainly that are produced here, because as we know, in the current circumstances with the crisis, the tariff war coming from the Trump administration, we need definitely to diversify our markets. 80% of everything we produce here right now, our economy is too reliant on the American economy. So it will open new opportunities with countries that are bordering the Atlantic Ocean. We can think of Europe, of course, but also Africa, South America. So we're going to have more capacity to export and import goods from the Port of Montreal. That's very good news.
And think of what it'll do for the stolen car market in the city, right? Big expanded port. No, I'm kidding.
Well,
just saying.
Opportunities for everybody.
Exactly.
It's equal for everybody. I would also add to that, Aaron, Carney mentioned today the high-speed rail project that he wants to put on a fast track, a high-speed track.
This is Windsor to Quebec City, is that
Windsor's not included right now in the current project, so it's Quebec City going through Montreal, Ottawa, and going, the terminal would be in Toronto right now. They're putting it on the fast track. Instead of taking 8 years to get it, it should be taking 4 years now. So very good news, highly expected, highly awaited project. It's essential that Canada gets into the train of high-speed rail right now.
Okay, let me go to something else which we didn't talk about because this happened yesterday, a cabinet shuffle. A few, names perhaps came as a surprise. Maybe not. A lot of this was leaked. Bernard Dranville's gone from education. He's gone to environment, which has made some people raise eyebrows. But what did you take of what you heard yesterday?
Well, Dranville, first of all, let's just remind our listeners that this is the guy whom in the last election said, "Don't bother me with greenhouse gases," and now he's our environment minister. So it's quite surprising here, and we'll see how it goes. But yesterday he was not quite convincing in this new role when he was answering questions from journalists. Geneviève Guilbeault, who's no longer our deputy premier, still in cabinet. To me, there's a double standard here. If you oust Bonnardel, I know the official reason for ousting Bonnardel is not tied to the Saclic fiasco, but still, let's face it, that's the true reason. Geneviève Guilbeault still remains within this cabinet. To me, there's a double standard for Bonnardel.
She's municipal affairs. Is
Absolutely,
that what she got?
Yeah.
And I read one of the French columnists today suggesting this is the worst thing that could have happened to Montreal by virtue of this. Do you agree with that?
Well, she has a very tense relationship with both mayors of Montreal and Quebec City in the past as transport minister. She doesn't go quite along with them. Valérie Plante's going to be out of office in just a few months, less than 2 months actually. So we'll see how it goes with the new mayor, either Rabouin or Martinez, who will be elected in Montreal. One of those actually should be our new mayor on November 2nd. But still, to me, this cabinet shuffle, and today what we've heard is for the first time a former CAC minister, Maïté Blanchette-Vizina, saying publicly that her trust, she was, until yesterday, she was our natural resources minister since 2022. And she said publicly today, and it was reported by Radio-Canada, so that her trust in the premier is now shaken because she's not back in cabinet. So it's a tricky exercise to have a cabinet shuffle, especially when you're a weak leader as François Legault, when you're at the lowest in approval ratings. And right now, you're creating more discontent and disappointment within your caucus than you're satisfying people, because there's 86 people in this, 86 MNAs in this caucus who wanted to be part of the government, and yet only 29 were called to be around the table. So of course, a lot of discontent, and I'm pretty convinced that this is the first one we hear publicly speaking up against the premier, but it probably won't be the last one.
He sounded today, at least from the clip I heard, François Legault, like he was doubling down. He didn't sound, like he didn't sound defeated, if you will. He sounded like, I'm going to move forward and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. That the take you got from that?
No, because even though maybe he's thinking like behind closed doors of maybe leaving office eventually, like you won't say it publicly as long as it's not definitely decided, So the line has always to be, and it was the same thing with Justin Trudeau last year, before he resigned, until the very end, everybody around him seemed to be faithful, seemed to be still supporting him, apart from maybe a few ones like Chrystia Freeland, of course. But until the very end, everybody within the CQ's caucus will seem to remain faithful to their leader, and François Legault will show, at least publicly, that he's there to remain until he's finally facing a wall and can't move forward anymore.
Takes the walk in the snow and calls it a day.
Yeah, okay. But I would say to me, it's pretty clear. I mean, if I look at my crystal ball right now, within the next 6 months, François Legault should no longer be Quebec's premier.
That long? 6 months?
Well, I mean, if they want to hold, the thing is, there's a deadline. If they want to have time to hold a leadership race for the CAQ to replace François Legault, they need to hold it. The latest would be the spring. So he needs to announce that he's going to resign.
One way or the other.
One way or the other. Okay. Let's say January, February at the latest.
I want to talk about this. We didn't talk about this today on the show, but it's taken a lot of people, obviously, by surprise, and I think shock perhaps might be the better word. What happened yesterday with Charlie Kirk, and I'm curious with respect to your reaction to it, and also in talking to Scott Reed yesterday, who we talked to on Wednesdays, suggesting that this is kind of a pivotal moment to see how America reacts. What comes from this? Is this a one-day event? Terrible story. Guy gets shot. He's a conservative. He's an ally of Trump's. What happens next?
Good question. It's worrying. To me, I'm worried. Part of my family lives in the south of the U.S. The social situation in the U.S. across the country is quite tense right now. This society has never been more polarized than it is at the moment, and events like that do not help calming things down. It's just pushing people on both sides, either on the right or on the left, towards hatred. It's no longer a debate about politics. It's hating each other. It's wishing harm to each other. And I was reading the reactions on social media yesterday, and I would say I've heard and seen disgusting stuff coming from the other side as well, I would say. So I would invite people on both sides to maybe tone it down and try to understand that maybe you can disagree in life, but it's not a reason to wish somebody death.
The fact that you even have to say that
it's
is
crazy.
Striking to me, right?
It's absolutely.
Somehow we have to convince you that just because you disagree with someone in their politics is suddenly reason to take them out. And I will point out, by the way, to this idea of, what you saw on social media, MSNBC had one of their analysts on yesterday reacting to this, who actually came out and for all intents and purposes said, based on what this guy's been talking about, we shouldn't be surprised, or he had it kind of almost had it coming.
No.
He was fired yesterday.
I'm sorry. You can disagree with someone, and I was not a big fan of Charlie Kirk myself, but I would never wish harm to anyone I disagree with. It is not a reason to shoot someone ever. You can disagree with them, you can criticize them as long as you want, but shoot someone because you disagree with his ideas. This guy was fighting for something that's very important in our society and in American society, freedom of speech. and he has the right to his ideas, whether we like it or not. And everybody has the right to their ideas in a democracy like the U.S. And his life should have never been threatened because he was publicly speaking about his ideas.
I would ask, though, one other thing, and I brought this up yesterday in the wake of this story. If you think, are we starting to see, and not starting, it's probably been going on for a while, this sort of American political reaction creeping across the border into Canada?
I've given a lecture at McGill actually last year about this. And yes, we do import some American-style politics in Canada more and more. I would say not to the extent of what's happening right now, of course, in the U.S. But I would say that Pierre Poilievre's arrival as leader of the Conservative Party 3 years ago now, 2-3 years ago, yes, was a pivotal moment in Canadian politics because he brought that style too. He's, the watchdog of Canadian politics, the barking dog sometimes in the House of Commons.
The attack dog, as he's described,
the attack lines, the style, and that's I believe one of the reasons that explain why he was defeated in the last federal election against Mark Carney. It's because a lot of people in Canada reject that style of politics. And even though he tried to change his style last year to soothe it a little more, it's stuck to him. It's stuck to him, this image of someone who has a very American style of doing politics.
You said tried to change. I remember that was the thing. They told him start smiling more, whatever. But now
got rid of the glasses.
Yeah. But he's reverting, from everything I've heard in the past couple days, he seems to be reverting back to the style he had. The old story, you can't change colors type of thing.
Right.
And I think that's what you have. Pierre Poilievre is Pierre Poilievre. I don't think you can change that.
But also right now it's difficult for him because you have Mark Carney on the other side who's governing like a progressive conservative, basically. So he's more to the center right of politics than this party used to be under Justin Trudeau, of course. So Poilievre right now is kind of stuck in between the Liberal Party shifting to the center right, and Maxime Bernier on the other side. So he needs to find his way there unless there's no space for him.
It's funny. I thought today, we got to wrap up. I thought today was, so you have Mark Carney making these big announcements, these 5 mega projects across the country. So he's kind of taken the wind a little bit out of Pierre Poilievre's sails, because up until now, it was Poilievre saying, you better do something. You're not doing anything. And today it goes from you're not doing anything to you're not doing it fast enough. Yeah. So he has to kind of modify the message because Carney is taking a lot of that from the Conservatives and incorporating into what he's been announcing.
Indeed.
So
it's very hard to pinpoint right now what the Conservative Party and Pierre Poilievre are standing for at the moment.
Raph, I thank you for coming in.